And the Oscar goes to Daniel Day-Lewis.
And the Oscar goes to Daniel Day-Lewis, and There Will Be Blood.
And the Oscar goes to Daniel Day-Lewis and My Left Foot.
And the award goes to Daniel Day-Lewis.
Ladies and gentlemen, Daniel Day-Lewis.
Born in London, England, Daniel Michael Blake Day-Lewis, his maternal grandfather was Sir Michael Balcon, an important figure in the history of British cinema. His older sister, a documentarian. In 1968, Daniel Day-Lewis's parents, finding his behavior to be too wild, sent him to a boarding school, an independent school in Kent. At the school, he was introduced to his three most prominent interests: woodworking, acting, and fishing. However, his disdain for the school grew, and after 2 years at the school, transferred to another independent school in Petersfield, Hampshire. His sister was already a student there, and it had a more relaxed and creative ethos. He made his film debut at age 14 in Sunday Bloody Sunday, in which he played a vandal in an unaccredited role. He acted on stage with the Bristol Old Vic and Royal Shakespeare companies, and did not appear on screen again until 1982, when he landed his first adult role in Gandhi.
I think the impression people might get about Daniel is that he's very serious.
Yes,
Right.
I do. He's not?
He's not.
I can hear you. This is your place. I can hear you. Enjoy your lunch, Daniel. Try to enjoy ours. I beg pardon? I said enjoy your lunch and we'll try to enjoy ours. Well, why don't you try and enjoy it elsewhere?
I tend really to only work on things that I have a kind of compulsion to do.
But they are so varied.
Yes.
Roles that we've seen you in so far.
Varied. Certainly, they're certainly, the things that most interest me tend to be at some distance from my own life, and they tend to be at some distance from the characters that have interested me before as well.
During a career that saw him make history when he became the first and only performer to win 3 Academy Awards for Best Actor, Day-Lewis made a point of surrounding himself with some of the industry's top talents. In addition to his multiple features with Martin Scorsese, Jim Sheridan, and Paul Thomas Anderson, The Star was directed by Richard Attenborough, Stephen Frears, Michael Mann, Steven Spielberg, and Philip Kaufman, among many others. Displaying an intensity, he would often remain completely in character throughout the shooting process, even to the point of affecting his own health. He is one of the most selective actors in the film industry, having starred in only 6 films since 1998, with as many as 5 years between roles. Protective of his private life, he rarely grants interviews and makes very few public appearances.
I got to work with somebody who was another huge influence on myself as an actor. I mean, there's commitment, and then there's Daniel Day-Lewis.
My straw goes across the room, and I drink your milkshake.
You were going to be a cabinet maker at one stage, yes?
It's really just a coincidence that I'm not, I think, because during the year after I left school, I was really more active in my pursuit of that. I mean, I tried to find apprenticeships, and I was very fussy. I was always very fussy about who I wanted to work with, and there was one designer craftsman in the country who I thought was extraordinary. And I just waited, and he didn't have room in his workshops, and he couldn't take on any more apprentices. And then in the end, I just thought, I'll try for one theatre school and see what happens. And that, it had been a passion for years, but I'd rather, in my last years at school, I began to think that the theatre profession was rather kind of suspect, and perhaps it is.
According to Gangs of New York co-star John C. Reilly, he got sick during shooting in Italy, refusing to trade his character's coat for a warmer coat because the warmer coat did not exist in the 19th century. Doctors finally forced him to take antibiotics. He listened to Eminem to get into an angry mood and have a self-righteous frame of mind as Bill the Butcher while shooting Gangs of New York. He also had his eyeball coated with a prosthetic glass to tap his eye with a knife without blinking. During The Last Mohicans, in 1992, he built a canoe, learned to track and skin animals, and perfected the use of a 12-pound flintlock gun, which he took everywhere he went, even to a Christmas party. He won 23 acting awards for his performance in There Will Be Blood, including the Oscar. After Michael Madsen was found to be unavailable for the role, Daniel Day-Lewis tried to get the role of Vincent Vega in Pulp Fiction, one of the few times he actively pursued a role. However, by that point in the casting, Quentin Tarantino had John Travolta in mind for the role. Also, while filming Gangs in New York, he rarely got out of character and would talk with a New York accent the whole day, and he would be sharpening his knives as well at lunch. After Heath Ledger's sudden death in January 2008, Day-Lewis dedicated his 2008 SAG Award to Heath Ledger, who was one of his favorite actors. He originally decided to become a cabinet maker, but was not accepted for an apprenticeship, including 3 Academy Awards for Best Actor, making him the only actor to have 3 wins in that category, and the 3rd male actor to win 3 competitive Academy Awards for acting, the 6th performer overall. Additionally, he received 4 British Academy Film Awards, 3 Screen Actors Guild Awards, and 2 Golden Globe Awards. In 2014, Day-Lewis received a knighthood for service to drama.
Daniel Day-Lewis, that motherfucker, think about it. When he's not working, he's like making shoes and shit.
Yeah.
He's not on what I call the whole stroll, that red carpet. He ain't doing that shit.
No.
He's a serious actor. He's a great artist, and that's why he makes a premium for his work.
I think he quit acting.
He said he retired.
Yeah.
Him playing Abraham Lincoln was one of my favorite things I've ever seen someone do. And it's not my favorite movie he's been in, but it's a movie about the passing of a bill. I can't think of a more boring process than fucking the bureaucracy of passing a bill, no matter what the bill's about.
Yeah.
But man, something about that performance made me excited about like art itself.
For me, it's There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, it's the greatest movie ever. There Will Be Blood is the one.
That character, it was so many things. He was a murderer, he was evil, he was kind, he was ambitious, he was a victim of circumstance, a victim of his environment, and also, kind of a tyrant.
Daniel has a thing where if he stays in that character, people think it's kind of a mystique, but it really makes sense. And also, because if I'm talking to Bill the Butcher, and in between takes, it's Daniel, I'm still talking to Bill. He stays in that character, and he'll be one of the other actors Irish, and he's not supposed to like the Irish, and, he treats that person that way.
I don't give a tuppeny fuck about your moral conundrum, you meat-headed shitsack.
And they said, why is he? I said, that's what that is. Just, we're not playing. I mean, we're playing, but we're living it.
In June of 2017, Day-Lewis's spokeswoman announced that he was retiring from acting, unable to give an exact reason for this decision. In November of that same year, Day-Lewis stated, "I haven't figured it out yet, but it's settled on me, and it's just there. I tried to use the overused word of artist, but there's something of a responsibility of the artist that hung over me. I need to believe in the value of what I'm doing. The work can seem vital and irresistible even. And if an audience believes it, that should be good enough for me, but lately it isn't."
You remember my boy, H.W.? No! No! I've abandoned my child! I've abandoned my boy! I've abandoned my child! Oh, here he is. He's right there.
The interesting thing about the script, I think, it seemed to me anyway, that it was that it wasn't a predominant feature, his disability. I was just struck by, more than anything else, by his anger at the way in which he was perceived and misunderstood sometimes, and his desire that the record should be set straight. Yeah. And I felt he was a pioneer in a way. He was actually charting territory which had never been charted before. And I think my heroes have always been people that have actually ventured into that kind of territory, and he was and he never let up. He continued to confront people. He confronted his own fears, which takes huge courage, and he confronted other people's fears head on.
I'm sorry, Oprah. Something I hope you don't mind if I speak about this, but there's something I feel very unsettled at the moment, and I suppose it's because I only just saw the news about Heath Ledger's death, and
oh, yes.
It seems somehow strange to be talking about anything else. Not that there's anything to say really, except to express one's regret and yes. To say from the bottom of one's heart to his family and to his friends that I'm sorry for their trouble. I didn't know him. I have a strong impression I would have liked him very much as a man if I had. I'd already marveled at some of his work, and
had looked forward so much to seeing the work that he would do in the future. So